Every year in the NFL, it's a new team. As
So
far
true.
as goals go, we have one. Putting a ring on our finger.
Yeah! Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer Podcast. This is Ralph Phillips.
I'm Molly Beck.
Today is February 20. I got an alarm going off. February 25th, 2020. Man, is that statement he just said so true, so true. There's all kinds of talk about, Bruce Arians said the other day that the Super Bowl team is done. Next year is a new team. He said that the other day. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, what's that mean? And everything. I'm like, dude, it's in that opening to our podcast. Do people not listen to what he says? I mean, that's one of his things. Mm-hmm. Every year, it's a new team. Every year, you got a new team. I mean, in the NFL, across the NFL, 30% of the players churn, in every team. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. On average, it's about 30%. Hopefully, we won't have that this year. But we're going to discuss a little bit of that today. Got a good podcast for you. Molly's carrying this one. We discussed this, so it's not going to look like we're having a divorce this time.
Marriage issues.
Marriage issues. We're going to discuss the year in review, basically. Molly's been working her butt off on this, so it better be good. I know nothing about what she's got. All I know, she's been on the computer every day for a week. How long did we take this break?
I was just shopping.
Well, I know this is true because your birthday's coming up. You've been sending me links.
Mm-hmm.
Women.
It's true. You got to get on it.
Yeah.
The next thing. All right. So I thought that we would go through the 2020 roster and we'd talk about how each unit performed and how we thought they were going to perform and how they actually performed. And what we kind of hope to see or expect to see next year.
All right.
You ready to get to it?
Yeah, we don't have any fact checks or follow-ups?
Nope.
And we are batting 1,000 again, man. I tell you, this is how I like it. Let's just not check ourselves, and then we can say every time that we don't. Well, I like this strategy. We're so smart.
Okay, so I thought we would start with the men in the middle, in the trenches. Let's start with the offensive line. So for our roster, we had, of course, at left tackle Donovan Smith, backed up by Josh Wells. At left guard, we had Ali Marpet, backed up by John Mulkin, whatever his name is. Center, Ryan Jensen.
You're going to get bad emails for that one.
Oh, probably.
Pronounce some names right.
I know. Backed up by A.Q. Shipley. Now, of course, we'll talk about what happened to him. And then Donnell Stanley, who I'd never heard of, but he was on our depth chart. And then right guard, Alex Kappa, backed up by none other than Aaron Stinney and Nick Leverett. And then, of course, at right tackle, we had Tristan Wurtz and Joe Haig. Now, going into this season, Ralph's prediction was that this was going to be a top 5 offensive line in front of Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And a large part of that was Tom Brady, was your prediction.
You are correct, sir.
Well,
how'd that work out?
Your favorite, Pro Football Focus, has our line ranked number 5. But I want to go through some stats that says they're better than that. We were second in sacks allowed percentage with 3.4%. Pittsburgh was first at 2.1%, which is just outrageous, especially for Ben Roethlisberger, who is kind of a scrambler like Jameis. I think he's kind of calmed that down a little bit in his old age, but
he's creaking around back there. He can't run a whole lot.
I know he's broken although for him, broken bones never seemed to affect him. He was just taping it up and going back out there. You gotta respect him for that.
Just rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, exactly. In this statistic, we were 17th in 2019. We had the sack percentage was 6.9%. And this year we halved it with 3.4%. Just outrageous.
Now, does this include the playoffs or just regular season?
No, this is just regular season. Okay. The Rams last year were number one with 3.4%. So that's what we were this year. So, top 2 offensive line, guys, in that regard. We were 4th in the number of sacks allowed. So we allowed 22 total, behind Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Indianapolis. In 2019, we were 22nd. Do you want to guess how many we had? Do you remember?
35? 40? 44?
47.
47.
So we had half the number, more than half the number of sacks.
That's crazy.
So we had 22 this year. And we were 3rd in sack yards. So we lost 150 yards. That was right behind Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. In 2019, we were 17th overall in this statistic with 282 yards. So a good 130 yards less this year in sack yardage, which, how much of that was Jameis Winston scrambling and trying to get out of the sack?
A lot of it.
And
half of it at least.
All of it, probably. We were not better as far as pocket time goes. This is crazy. Time to throw. In 2019, Jameis Winston had 2.5 seconds. In 2020, Tom Brady had 2.4 seconds. So it's only a 1/10 of a second difference. They were marginally better this year, but is that even statistically significant? I don't think so. And then pressure percentage in 2019, it was 22.9%. And then in 2020, it was 17.8%. So that's, 5%. But how much of that is Jameis Winston was holding the ball and it allowed the defenders to come and get him? And
pressure is, everybody knows my view on stats. A lot of this stuff is completely subjective, like a pressure. What exactly is a pressure?
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady is excellent at when he feels pressure, he knows he's getting pressure, or if he is getting pressure, he throws the ball. And is that considered a pressure? If he sees a guy coming loose and he throws it before the guy gets to him, is that considered a pressure?
Right.
It's very difficult to understand these stats. I really wish that like Pro Football Focus and all these guys that compile stats would link to what they call a pressure. Like if they say, okay, it was 56 pressures, throughout the year, here's all the times we counted a pressure, here's the exact play it happened on. So you could go back and look and go, I wouldn't count that a pressure, or how come they didn't count this a pressure, blah, blah, blah.
Or you get an idea how they're defining it.
Right.
In particular.
Yes. Yeah, do you have to be within a certain distance of the quarterback to get a pressure? If there's a guy between you and the quarterback, is that considered a pressure? If you're reaching out and you get close, it's just so much subjectivity there.
That's why stats can't tell you everything.
No, just a two.
Or they're not, as clear. They don't
let's
offer
go over
as much
some more
clarity.
stats to prove how awesome
I
we were.
know. Well, the other thing I want to go over is that most of that is passing related. I want to go over the rushing statistics because we didn't improve that much this year as far as that goes. So in 2020, we actually did worse. We were 29th overall in rush yards with 1,519. And then in 2020, we were 4th overall with 1,521. So, we did have 2 less rush yards this year, but compared to the rest of the league, it was
total yards rushing.
Yeah.
Interesting. A lot of that was Jameis, or maybe not a lot of it, but probably a couple hundred yards.
Last year, probably. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Although this year we did improve in our rush yards per attempt.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 369 attempts, averaged 4.1 yard per attempt, whereas last year was 3.7 yards.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Half a yard. So we average more. Let me get this straight. So we ran about this. No, we ran less running plays.
Yeah.
This year.
So we had 369 attempts this year. God. Last year we had 409. So that's like a 40 attempt difference.
Oh my gosh. Well,
why bother? I mean,
how many is that per game? You figure there's about an average of 60 offensive plays a game, right? What'd you say, 369?
Yeah.
369 divided by 16. 23. So 23 attempts a game.
A third run.
Yeah.
2/3 pass. Sounds about right.
Yeah, it actually does for us. I tell you, man, Aaron's just is not a big fan of running the ball.
In theory, he likes it.
Yeah. But, it worked.
I know, whatever. I'm not. If it didn't work, everyone would be complaining. But we won the Super Bowl, so nobody gives a shit.
Right, exactly. Now, this is a quarterback's league. Passing is dominant. The run game. You look across the league. Tennessee is about the only team I look at and I go, that's a running team. It's just not you don't anymore. You don't even have workhorse running backs. You got all these rotations and by committees and just, running is just an afterthought anymore.
Well, and, I don't know if these power backs are just so few and far between at this point. Like, they come from the colleges, so what are the colleges doing as far as the run game goes?
Yeah. But
I don't know.
Offense seems to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't watch college football. So
I know.
I'm just speculating there. Anybody that watches college football out there, let us know. What are they running in college now?
Yeah.
What is it we're going to see in the NFL in a couple of years?
Yeah, no kidding. And I want to talk about the penalties that the offensive linemen got this year because, it's one measure of them. And to me, I don't care. I don't really care about penalties. This year it wasn't really an issue. I think the first Saints game, it was kind of an issue, or it felt like it was a storyline earlier in the season. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like week 5 or something. We had 15 penalties and everybody.
Yeah, everyone was losing their dang mind. But there's a stark difference between our offensive linemen. So Donovan had the most. He had 10 penalties this season. 5 holdings and 3 false starts.
That's a lot of penalties.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
It didn't seem that much though.
I know, but he had 10 total, so I don't know what the other 2 were. And he had 1 that was declined or offset. So, and he was the next closest was Jensen with 4. He only had 1 holding. The rest were personal fouls.
I love it.
I know it. I don't care at all.
I never get upset about personal fouls.
I don't either.
I don't know what it is.
It's even like the Mike Evans when he got ejected and then suspended for the hit on Marshawn Lattimore. Did he get ejected that game?
I think so, yeah. If he didn't, he should have.
I know, when he went and hit.
I was rude. I was
cheering.
I didn't
care. Everyone's like, oh, it's a stupid penalty by Mike. No, no, I don't care. I don't care.
Mm-mm.
You can't let people do that to your quarterback.
Yeah. The only time I got upset about Jensen's personal foul penalties this year was when he got called for it against, I can't remember who it was, but they said he headbutted the guy. And then on film, you can see he didn't really, he did, but he just kind of walked up to him and bumped helmets. It wasn't like he,
That's so stupid.
I thought that was kind of weak, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. Tristan Wurtz also had 4 penalties, but his was divided between holding and false start. So no personal fouls for him, which sounds about right. Allie had 3 total. He had 2 holdings and a false start. Kappa had 1. It was a holding all year. That is incredible to me.
That is incredible. Yeah.
You go through a whole season with 1 penalty.
Yeah.
I think it just goes to show how disciplined some of the guys are. He did have 1 that was declined or offset. And then Joe Haig, he had a holding, and Aaron Stinney had a false start. So those guys didn't play much, and they had as many as Kappa, who played a whole season. Which was just crazy.
I can say that about our offensive line. When I watch the game film, it's almost every time, I would say 90% of the time, if not more, the other team holds more than our team does. Our offensive line is very disciplined. That we don't use a lot of holding techniques like some teams do.
We don't have to because we're just so badass.
We don't have to cheat.
I know, right?
New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. We have 3 offensive linemen that are free agents this year, and thank God they're just the backups, which, frankly, I think we could use some upgrades there. Joe Haig is an unrestricted free agent. Josh Wells is as well. And Aaron Stinney is an exclusive rights free agent. So I would like to see Stinney back. I was really impressed with how he did behind Kappa. I thought he did pretty well considering. But Josh Wells, I don't know about all that. And then Joe Haig, I'm still bitter. He dropped that touchdown in the end zone. So
it wasn't his fault. He didn't drop it. It got knocked out of his hand.
Come on, it hit him in the face.
Yeah, and he had it, and he was bringing it down. And when 53 popped it out, A.Q. Shipley's also free agent.
I know, but his career's over. He's on our coaching staff.
Oh, that's right.
Remember? That was one of I have some storylines. So the injuries, I think, were some of the bigger storylines of the offensive linemen. A.Q. Shipley being the number 1 had a career-ending neck injury against the Rams. But it didn't occur during the Rams. It was just kind of a lingering issue that reared back up during that game. And this was when he was playing at center. Ryan Jensen had moved to right guard to fill in for Allie because Allie was out with a concussion. So Allie missed those 3 games. Week 9 through 11 because of the concussion suffered during the Giants game. And then Donovan also missed week 15 against Atlanta. Yeah, 15. Because he was on the COVID list. So he missed 1 game. He didn't actually miss any remember we were like, he had the ankle injury, and when I saw that he had missed a game, I was like, oh, that's it. But it was way later in the season. I think the Kansas City game was the game where he had the ankle injury.
Yeah, week 12. He got it week 11, but week 12 he was doubtful to play, and then was only going to play half a game, and then fought through it to the whole game.
So he still played.
He is an Iron Man.
I know. And I have so much greater appreciation for him, I think, after this year, because you got a sense, Tom Brady made a lot of these guys look good, but then you kind of get an appreciation for how hard Jameis might have made it on them at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some of the guys, especially Donovan, took the brunt of that, I think.
Yeah.
I do want to say, we got to talk about Tristan Wurtz. At the beginning of the season, I was not that I wasn't thrilled with him. I didn't know anything about him. And so it was hard, and especially with an offensive lineman coming from college where they don't necessarily do a lot of complex blocking scheme. It's basically a body in the way. I wasn't certain how well Tristan was going to do coming in. And, week 1, we were like, we don't even know if he's going to start. Like, is Joe Haig going to go? And then, kind of let Tristan get his footing. But, oh my gosh, he has been a complete stud.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Light just knocked it out of the park with this draft. And, there's that lineman in Tennessee that they drafted in the first round last year. And he's quitting. I mean, he's not going to play, he's had, I forget his name, Jonah Williams, I want to say. I can't remember for sure. Y'all fact check me. But they drafted him in the first round, and he, I guess, showed up for camp out of shape, and he had some off the field issues. And I think the GM was like, he's going to decide if he wants to play for us. And he went on Instagram and made a post and said, I'm not a Titan anymore. So I'm just thankful that we don't have, they really sussed out the character issues, and Tristan has just been such a blessing, I think, for the offensive line. Like, he's just stepped in, and, I hate to say it, we didn't even miss DeMar Dotson.
No, yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I was sad to see him leave. It was kind of about time for him, I guess, but, Worth stepped in and did a great job. the only knock I would have on Wirfs is I'd like to see him be more aggressive. He's too nice out there.
Oh my gosh, stop.
But it's not like he's it's a bad quality for him. It's just, I like the tough guys. So.
I know, but he's not giving up huge plays because he's too nice.
Right.
Like between the whistle, he's playing.
Yeah.
And
but, he could really manhandle some guys and knock them on the ground and stuff, but he doesn't. He plays almost gentlemanly.
He's like a gentle giant. He doesn't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah, right. That's the impression you get.
He knows his own strength.
Marshall Newhouse, was that who?
I gotta look it up. I should have looked it up before I started running my mouth. Yeah. Honestly, we'll fact check that one. And I might even be conflating two different stories. I don't know. Good
possibility.
I know. I will say this about the offensive line. So everybody's coming back. They asked Jason Light and BA about Jensen and Donovan because both of their contracts, all their guaranteed money has been paid. And so we could cut them theoretically to make cap space. Jason Light said, we're not interested in that.
Good.
We want both of them to come back.
Heck yeah.
I know. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, leave it alone.
Exactly. Especially Jensen, man. There ain't no way we're getting rid of him.
And Donovan, too, we were of that mind as well. Like, when he got that contract, we were like, he did not earn that contract. And so it was frustrating for us, especially when we had to cut guys because we had to pay Donovan. And he kind of had the team over the barrel. He played to his contract the first year. Was that right?
Yeah.
What year? I guess that was 2019. Yeah, okay. So he's on the last year of a 3-year contract.
Well, it's a guaranteed money.
Right. Done. But that's what I mean. Like, it was a 3-year contract. This is going to be the 3rd year, 2021. So he'll be a free agent.
That's all he got was a 3-year contract?
Yeah. It was like $27 million. No, it must have been 27 guaranteed. But, at the time, we were like, he did not earn this. Here's the problem, though. Like, we had no other options. He had us over a barrel. And it really made you appreciate how hard it is to find good offensive linemen, especially in free agency, reliable guys who are going to show up. And, I'd say he earned his contract at this point.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, we won a Super Bowl. Everybody earned their contract.
I know, exactly. And I think you could maybe upgrade, but it's going to be a crapshoot.
Yeah, no, there's no sense in taking a chance.
I know.
Everything worked fine. Hey, that's good.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
It's just not worth the risk to.
Like you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our running backs. This one's going to be a fun conversation. So let me go over the roster real quick. We had, of course, Ronald Jones. Behind him was Keyshawn Vaughn, Kenyon Barner, and CJ Procease. I know I'm saying that wrong. And then on the other side, we got Leonard Fournette, Lashawn McCoy, and TJ Logan.
I had no idea we had 7 running backs on our roster. Good
I
Lord.
think CJ is practice squad. Or was practice squad. Kenyon Barner, he kind of went back and forth between all the practice squad.
Yeah, most of these guys were not active on Sundays for sure.
Yeah. And TJ Logan ended up on an IR. Remember, I forget what happened. Didn't he break his leg or something? It was like a serious injury. I cannot remember. But this year, we've got half of them are free agents. So we have Leonard Fournette, who is here on a 1-year deal as an unrestricted free agent. Lashawn McCoy is a free agent. Kenyon Barner and TJ Logan. Now, Lashawn McCoy, I thought was a great veteran presence, even though he didn't see a lot of playing time. I thought he had a positive impact on the room. He went on Pat McAfee. God, I really got to figure out how to say that. I'll even listen to the show where he introduces himself, and every time I just space out. I don't even listen to it. But he said on Pat's show that he, wasn't really sure what he's going to do as far as next year. I think he's kind of waiting to see what the Bucs have to say, if the Bucs want him back, and if not, he's going to retire. But it sounded to me like he wasn't really interested in going to another team. So he did say he doesn't really have like a home base. I mean, he has houses, like I think he has one in Philly.
Yeah.
He's got houses where he's played, but he's like, I might build my dream home. So we'll see what he does, whether the Bucs want him back or not. I do want to go through some of our stats on the guys so we can kind of see how they measured up. The Bucs certainly favored Ronald Jones in this regard. So he had 978 rush yards on 192 attempts. So he was averaging 5.1 yards a carry.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I was really happy. I thought that
that 197-yard run didn't hurt.
Yeah, that helps it. 98, actually.
98.
Give him that extra yard.
He was only 18 yards away from 1,000 yards.
That hurts me. 22. It was 22 yards.
22?
It's sad.
Okay.
I know.
It's math.
He only started 13 games. He played in 14. So he had injury. He almost got to 1,000 yards only playing 14 games. That's pretty good. Yeah. And then he had 42 receptions. He had 42 targets. He only caught 28 and had 165 yards that way. He averaged 5.9 yards per reception. That was the worst in the room. So he had a catch percentage of 66.7. Our best was Shady McCoy. Now, he only had 19 targets compared to Rojo's 42, so he had half the targets. But he caught 15 of 19 and had 101 yards. And he was averaging, he had a 78.9% catch percentage. So he was our best pass catcher. Leonard Fournette was right behind him with 76.6%.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Leonard only had rush yards. He only had 3.8 yards per attempt. So it was a good 1-2 punch, I thought, where, Leonard Fournette had most of the receptions and the targets. He had 36 receptions and 47 targets. So he was catching 76.6% of them, but he was only averaging 3.8 yards per attempt rushing. And then Rojo had 5.1 yards per attempt and and he was averaging the least yards per reception. And then Keyshawn Vaughn is another one I want to talk about. He had 100 yards, 26 attempts, and he was our lowest receiving catch percentage at 50%. He only caught half of them.
Yeah. He dropped quite a few.
I know, and they were kind of infuriating when he didn't do. So, but I do.
But if you remember, Ronald Jones was the same way in his first year. So.
Yeah. And I would have liked to have seen more of Keyshawn. He only got 26 attempts. He's a young guy. I think he probably could have benefited from a preseason, which he didn't get. And then, the room was so crowded, just even between Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, that he didn't have much hope of getting a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
What do you think about Leonard Fournette? Do we bring him back?
I would like to.
Yeah.
If it's up to me, I'd bring everybody back.
Yeah. I know.
There's nobody, even Josh Wells and Joe Haig.
If it ain't broke, don't fix that.
Right. Well, the Buccaneers. I hate to see anybody leave. Well, I guess. At least outwardly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on this team, I could definitely say there's nobody I really want to see gone. Leonard Fournette, I think he did a really fantastic job with helping out Ronald Jones. I know you talked about Lashawn Mccoy as being a great presence in the locker room. I think Leonard Fournette was an outstanding presence as well. He changed Ronald Jones' style of running. Ronald Jones really mimicked Fournette more than he did anybody else, I thought. And it helped him. Just being able to run where you're supposed to run, being able to pick up on the cues and seeing. Fournette was just fantastic at that. He was just so good at going where he was supposed to go and following his blockers and all that good stuff. And, we've had a problem with that in our running back room forever. These guys wanting to bounce out and find their own holes. Now, there is a time to do that, but, generally these plays are designed to go a certain way, and a lot of the running backs get impatient, and Ronald Jones was one of those. And they had a habit, him and Peyton Barber had a habit of running right into people. It was so annoying. And Leonard Fournette, a lot of people thought, and I thought this too, before I watched him on film, was that, he was a bruising back, that he was a power back. But he's far from it. Very light on his feet, great at picking his lanes and his holes, and just elite status as far as doing what he was supposed to do. And
he had quite a few runs where he was like bouncing off guys too. Where he'd kind of maneuver around, and I thought Ronald Jones did a lot more of that this year also.
Yeah, they did a great job of that in the playoffs. Super Bowl, there was a couple where everything was clogged up and they just bounce and spin, and next thing you know, they're on the outside edge running down the field. So, I think Leonard Fournette did a great job. And he did a really good job with his attitude. He had a bad attitude in Jacksonville. And then he comes here and, we deactivated him for some games. So he wasn't the star. And, I was worried he was going to snap and be like, send me somewhere else.
Well, he apparently had a shitty attitude and was upset about his role with the team, and BA told him, you either got to change your attitude and accept your place on the team, or you need to ask to be released. And it was at that point, I think, that he kind of got a wake-up call, adjusted his attitude, and really he and Ronald Jones turned into a great 1-2 punch.
So, oh man, I had a question there. Why do they call him Playoff Lenny?
I don't know. He was going off in the playoffs.
But they were calling him that before we went to the playoffs.
I don't
when
know.
we were going to the playoffs. It's like he performed well with Jacksonville in the playoffs, I guess. I don't know.
Did they
never
make it
looked
to the
into that.
playoffs when he was there?
Yeah. His first year.
Okay. I don't know. He does seem to have a really great rapport with everyone on the team. Like, if you watch the videos from right after the Super Bowl and the boat parade, he's in all of them, and, they're all yucking it up, and I don't know. He just seemed to be a good locker room guy.
I love seeing stuff like that.
I did too.
It's a lot of times it means nothing and you can't really tell a lot. It's kind of like watching the guys on the sideline. I love getting shots of guys on the sideline, see who's hanging out with who, and, what kind of body language they got and all that good stuff. And it's like Auclair and those guys, the tight end room, they're real tight. Cameron Braid and Auclair and Adam Humphries used to hang out a lot.
Oh. Yeah, I remember them at the, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher this too. So I'm the Tampa people, please don't hate me. The Gasparilla, the big parade that they have where everyone dresses up like pirates.
Yes.
There's
and they were
pictures
all out
from
there
that.
drunk. Hanging all over each other with
Yeah.
the whole, I love you, man. You're my best friend.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the tight ends too. Well, that segues great into that.
Mm-hmm.
We got Cam Brate, behind him Anthony Auclair, and then Cody McElroy. And then on the other side, we've got Rob Gronkowski. What? What are you laughing at?
Just the other side.
The other side.
Tight ends.
I don't know. We had like 2 tight ends listed on the depth chart. Rob Gronkowski, OJ Howard, Tanner Hudson. And our free agents are Gronk, Anthony Auclair, and Tanner Hudson. But what I want to talk about most, this has pissed me off.
I know what you're going to bring up.
Okay. This has pissed me off like For the past few years, it's upset me. The trade Cam Braid crowd infuriate me. Just infuriate
And rightfully
me.
so.
Because it is the stupidest. They're, you know, and the logic is that we have OJ Howard and he's better, which I'm not really sure that you can make that argument.
No.
I don't see how you can say that when OJ Howard's been in the league since 2017 and has never played a full season.
He's been in it 4 years?
Yes.
Holy crap.
And we already exercised his 5th-year option. I don't understand.
Dang.
We must have done that. I don't know. Can you do that early? Can you do that in their 3rd year? Because we did. And I'm like, why? I don't get it. Now, I understand that the skill might be there or the potential might be there, but you're 4 years in and show, like Rendak says on Pewtercast. Or no. It was not Ren. Sorry, Ren. It was Brent who said, show me. Like, you tell me that he's great. Show me. Because he's just not.
Yeah, nobody's great on the bench.
No. And he, you know, I just can't. He played 4 games in 2020 and started 1. Now, he had 2 touchdowns. So there's that. Cam Braid had 2 touchdowns all season. So you can make that argument. But his catch percentage was 57.9% of his targets, whereas Cam Braid's was 82.4% of his targets.
Wow.
Yes, he was the best of the tight ends in that statistic. First of all.
Yeah, Braid has been rock solid ever since he's been here. You know, and just quietly, you know, dominating the tight end room every year. Me and Molly talked about this the other night. If you ever watch that movie Moneyball, there's a scene where all the scouts and coaches and everybody are sitting around talking about players to draft and free agents and all this, and they're discussing the players, and what they end up all basically talking about is how these players fit their stereotype of how they think a baseball player should be. You know, they'd be like, oh, well, this guy, you know, he's got the right size and he's got the right height and he's, you know, the right build, that he looks like a baseball player. He's got the baseball player rugged good looks and he's got a good looking wife and all this stuff. Things that have nothing to do with playing baseball. And I think that's kind of what has happened with OJ Howard. I mean, he looks like a specimen. You know, I mean, he looks like he's going to go out there and just dominate. And, you know, he's got the speed, he's got the measurables and all that good stuff. So everybody is just like, this guy, you know, is an awesome tight end. But we just don't have any evidence of it. And, well, I can't say any evidence. I mean, when he plays and he plays well, he does play very well.
I don't see it. I think
Cutter
he's average.
I thought Cutter used him great.
I know, but how many passes did he get intercepted? You know, how many of Jameis's 30 interceptions were because of him? Like 3 that I can think of, 2 or 3 maybe. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and then you got Cameron Braid on the other hand, he's from Harvard, right? And, you know, he's not...
Played basketball.
Yeah, he's not your prototypical football player, the looks or anything. And, you know, he's slow and kind of, you know, not big and strong. So, you know, people could just discount him because of that stuff. When you put it all together and we've got the evidence of it, Cameron Braid is the best tight end in the room. Just, you know, I hate to say it. I mean, even Gronkowski is great. He really is. He helped our blocking so much this year. He's just by far the best blocking tight end in the room. But you know, I think when it comes down to, even if it's you know, Cameron Braid, Rob Gronkowski, as far as catching goes, I think Cameron Braid would probably win that one too. Don't know.
And please talk about the blocking, because I've seen on Twitter people say that OJ is our best blocking tight end. No. This was pre-Gronk. And it triggered me. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, I think Braid would have been the number one. I'm not really sure. I can't remember, but I know it wasn't OJ.
No.
And it wasn't Auclair. Yeah, our tight ends have not been good blockers.
Especially not in BA's system. And in Cutters, they were used more in the passing game than they were blocking.
Right.
What do you think about our free agents? Who do we re-sign?
All of them. Definitely Gronkowski if he'll come back.
Yeah, Spot Rack has his market value at $8.5 million. So like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then we're paying OJ. His cap hit is $6 million this year, and I think Cambry is similar.
So Auclair and Gronkowski are the only ones up for.
And Tanner Hudson.
I love Tanner.
I think he's gone.
Yeah.
The room's too deep. I mean.
And he has done nothing on the field, man.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's so heartbreaking. You know, he had such a good preseason that one year, and it was just like, oh, he's going to be awesome. And then every time he's gotten his chance, he's bombed. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think he's going to come back either.
Yeah. I think he will not make the cut. I know that they like Anthony Auclair, especially on special teams, and he's kind of more blocking tight end. My complaint with him is he's always good for a holding call once every few games. So, you know, I'm kind of take it or leave it, but we will see what happens.
Yeah, I haven't been impressed by his blocking on special teams, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, he was out all this year. Maybe that's been the issue with special teams.
Yeah, maybe. He was out all year?
Yeah. He was on IR. I forget what the injury was.
Damn.
Okay, let's move on to our receiving core.
So are we doing the whole offense? Is that?
Yeah, we're going to do the whole offense. I'm saving the quarterback for last. So we can. Okay, so we've got Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, Jaden Mickens, and Travis Johnson. And then on the other side, we've got Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Justin Watson, Josh Pearson, and Cyril Grayson. Our free agents, of course, are Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Jaden Mickens, which that's kind of a good sign that we've got, you know, this whole room and only three free agents, although two of them are big ones. But I think that they're going to do their best to kind of figure it out. And, you know, from that press conference with BA and Jason Light yesterday, they sounded very confident that we were going to bring everybody back. Mm-hmm. So,
of course, during the parade, BA was snatching the microphone from everybody.
Your ass is coming back.
You're coming back, yeah.
Mike Greenberg was like, oh, God, stop, please.
BA was so wasted, man. Everybody was. It was great.
I loved that. I loved it.
Chris Godwin, if it came down to Chris Godwin or Shaquille Barrett, I got to go with Shaquille Barrett. If it comes down to Ndamukong Suh or Chris Godwin, I got to go with Sue. I'd put Chris Godwin about third or fourth on the list of who we need to make sure we re-sign. I mean, I like Chris Godwin. I thought he had a horrible playoff run. You know, he dropped so many passes in the playoffs. It was so funny. It was the curse of the announcers. You know, was it Joe Buck, I think it was, that said that Tom Brady told him that Chris Godwin's had the best hands that he's ever of any receiver he's played with, and it was like immediately Chris Godwin started dropping the ball, and he put us into some bad situations.
Well, you know, I would say this whole season is characterized by drops by the wide receiving core, and of course, this stat includes tight ends and running backs, but we had 31 drops per Pro Football Reference. So that was 5.2%. And last year, we only had 23. It was 3.8%. So
that's a lot.
Yeah. So 1.5% difference.
How many did you say? 30?
31.
31. That's two a game.
Yeah. It feels like more
than that. See, but still, I'm sure what they count are guys that the ball went right in their hands and they dropped it.
Yeah.
You know, I count balls that, you know, if you could reach it and you don't catch it, that's a drop in my book. So I counted about 4 a game.
Yeah, I agree.
Still, I mean, 2 a game. That's what these guys get paid millions of dollars. That's what they got to do. But Chris Godwin, I love him to death. And, you know, he's a great blocker. We use him a lot in the running game. And, you know, he made some great plays for us and everything. But, you know, if there's a position that we can afford to lose people, it's wide receiver. Because you look at, I mean, even Antonio Brown, I'm like, we could afford to lose him. We could afford to lose Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown. I mean, behind them, we got Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson. I really like him. Justin Watson, I like him. Jaden Mickens, I really like him.
Travis Johnson.
Cyril Grayson, Doink. Cyril. So we've got, enough to make it, when you got Mike Evans, most teams would be happy to have one superstar on their wide receiving core. And we can definitely get by with just one. It's nice to have all these weapons, but like you saw in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl, Antonio Brown was the only one that got a touchdown.
Well, I think that we could probably even get Antonio back on a discounted contract. Like, I don't know how many teams are going to take on that risk, even though this year, I mean, he was only with us for half a season and had absolutely no hiccups behavior-wise. But I'm not convinced that, if I'm a GM, I'm not completely convinced that he's straightened up and changed his ways. So I feel like the Buccaneers, especially with the lure of Tom Brady specifically in Antonio Brown's case, I think that you could get him to take less money and come back. And if that's the case, and you got to let Chris Godwin walk, I think that's what you do.
Yeah. I think we're going to put the tag on Chris Godwin.
Yeah, probably. I think so too.
And, if Antonio Brown, I think a lot of these players, this is just speculation, I think a lot of these players are going to take less money than they could get in the open market or the free market because they want to stay here. It's a great team, great guys, great coaching staff. They know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're going to go back to the Super Bowl next year probably and win it. So, I mean, that's, it's not like Antonio Brown hasn't made enough money in his career.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like Gronkowski hasn't made enough money in his career. It's not like Sue hasn't made, these guys are like, I could take $1 million or $2 million less a year to stick with this team. Yeah.
And other guys are already talking about restructuring contracts.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah, there's rumblings.
But he's going to do it because he did it with New England all the time.
Yeah, all the time. But apparently there's rumblings that he's going to extend his contract and another extension and then, lessen his cap hit this year. So I'm all for it. Keep him here as long as he wants to stay. I don't care.
I'll roll him out there myself in a wheelchair. At 80 years old.
Y'all will be racing your scooters out there.
He won't be drinking Gatorade in the bottle. He'll be drinking Metamucil.
I will say a bright spot on our wide receiving core was Mike Evans getting his 7th 1,000-yard season, which was a record-setting.
Yeah. I really wish he would have got a catch in the Super Bowl. He deserves it for if anybody does, but things just didn't work out. And
I think he was a really good sport about it too, because they asked him in the post-game interview and he just didn't even care. It was like it was not even on his radar.
Yeah, and you felt that way about everybody on the team. Nobody seemed like they were upset that they didn't get the kudos they felt they deserved or the stats or whatever. Everybody was just like, my God, this is an awesome team. I love my guys. It does seem to be a real good bonding with this team.
Yeah.
And winning always helps.
It helps, definitely. But a lot of these guys have been together for a long time, too.
Yeah.
So that helps. And especially, even like Tom Brady and his guys, like the guys that he knows. And it seems like everyone meshed so well together. And, I feel like we had a really great locker room this year.
Yeah, fantastic locker room. We didn't have the Jameis Winston riffs. And
that's true. I still want to find out what happened. Joe Bucks fan.
I know, right?
They know.
But yeah,
well, and Deshaun Jackson got released from the Eagles. He might not play anymore. He's probably in the last leg of his career. Oh, my God.
That'd be great.
Let him. Well, apparently he came back to Tampa. His house in Tampa, which I don't see that as an indication that he's coming back here. I mean, some people speculate. I'm like, when do you want to be in Tampa over Philly in December, January? Like, there's no way. Well, I'd rather be in Tampa than Philly any day of the year, but especially when it's 10 degrees, probably 15 degrees in Philly currently.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be coming back to Tampa too. All right, let's go. Oh, this is the last unit on the offense, the quarterback. So on our roster, we've got, of course, Tom Brady, and then Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin. Both of our backups are free agents this year.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. What do you do there? You bring them back?
Sure, why not? Bring everybody back.
Everybody. Okay, I feel so bad because, you know, in the video of Tom Brady being all drunk, there's that big tall guy helping him. I totally thought that was one of his handlers, but that's Ryan Griffin. It was Ryan Griffin. And I was like...
He's been on the team for like 50 years. We don't even know what he looks like.
How awful is that?
Yeah.
But good on him for helping Tom. That was nice. Shielding him from the media and stuff.
He didn't shield him well enough. That picture is everywhere.
There's only so much that you could do.
Yeah. Who was it that was wearing the shirts of that? Was it the Lightning?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was some baseball people.
It might have been the Rays.
They got it printed on a shirt.
They were all wearing... Or no, it was the Boston. It was Boston.
Oh.
I think. Yeah, they were wearing orange shirts.
Yeah.
Gosh, with that picture of Tom Brady all being carried out, basically.
Okay, drunk Tom Brady was like such a nice Tom Brady.
Oh,
like he was a happy, nice drunk. Like all the teammates, he was like, "Hey, you."
My favorite though is him throwing that trophy. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I love it. I thought it was awesome. I mean, you guys got 7. Well, he doesn't have 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's won 7.
He's had 7 in his hand, so it's like, what's another one? I'll just throw this one across the river.
Exactly. Okay, so...
And I watched the video from the guys that caught it. They weren't ready for it when he threw it. They were saying, hold on a second, and he just chunked it. And they were like, ah!
It was Cam Brate that caught it.
That was Cam. There you go. See?
I thought it was Gronk. No, it was Cam Brate. I know.
It was Gronk's boat, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, see, this goes to show, if that would have been O.J. Howard, it probably wouldn't have written a river.
It would have been
fumbled.
intercepted, probably, by a gator.
Oh, my God.
All right, so there's some Jameis stands on Twitter who were saying that we downgraded at quarterback, which I'm absolutely certain they are in the minority as far as Bucs fans go.
Are they saying that now?
Yes. Yeah. After post-Super Bowl. I know.
Yeah.
There's always some idiot,
Yeah.
you know?
Always. There's always somebody that's going to take the opposite stand of everything.
Always. So
Logic be damned.
I want to talk about how Tom Brady in 2020 stacked up to Jameis Winston. Now, this is in no way to disparage Jameis, as many of you know who have been with us at least through the 2019 season. We constantly defended Jameis, and I even wanted to bring Jameis back in 2020.
Yep, and I said the reason why we did go to the playoffs in 2019 was because of Jameis Winston. 2, I said, if we can get Tom Brady, I'm fine with getting rid of Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
And it worked out that way.
That's what
I
happened.
did not think it was going to happen, but.
Yeah, me neither. But, you know, the argument, I mean, Tom made it to Super Bowl with Jameis's team. Let's put that out there. I mean, all these guys, most of them, you know, the defense largely stayed intact. We upgraded marginally in the offseason in 2020. I mean, we brought in Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown and Gronk. So those 3 pieces. And then, of course, upgraded at right tackle with Tristan Wurtz. But by and large, this was the same team that Jameis played on in 2019. Right. Same system, same everything. Jameis went 7-9. Tom Brady went 11-5 and won a Super Bowl. But I do want to look at the stats of the 2 quarterbacks to kind of see how Tom stacked up with Jameis. So, I know.
Do we really?
Does this matter? I know. Well, I think it's a good indication of where Tom is. I don't know. Jameis, of course, threw for 5,109 yards. Tom Brady was about 500 yards short of that with 4,633.
Really?
Yes. So your prediction was what? That he was going to get above 4,000 yards?
Yes. I said he was definitely going to throw for over 4,000 and possibly break Jameis Winston's record. He'll do that next year.
You're right.
Yeah, he will.
Jameis had 380 completions of 626 attempts. So his completion percentage was like 60.7%. Tom's attempts or completions, he had 401 to 610 attempts. So Tom Brady did have as many passes just about as Jameis, about 16 short. But his completion percentage was 65.7%. So better. Jameis had 33 touchdowns. Tom Brady had 40. And you have to wonder, how did the 30 if Jameis hadn't thrown the 30 interceptions, how many of those would have been added to his tally?
Yeah.
You know, how many times did we get intercepted in the red zone?
Mm-hmm.
Jameis threw 30 interceptions. Tom Brady threw 12.
Big difference.
Huge difference.
That's 18 interceptions.
Jameis threw more than double.
Good Lord.
Tom Brady's number. And, I felt like Tom...
That's an interception a game. Over an interception a game.
Yes.
Wow.
I thought that Tom had thrown a lot in the beginning and then kind of... Because, early in the season, we were like, oh, he's on pace to match Jameis. No, he threw 4 interceptions in the first 8 games.
Really?
And 3 of them were the first 2 games.
Okay, maybe that's what...
Maybe that's where we were saying it. Yeah, week 2. We were like, oh. And then he threw 8 in the last 8 games, which is just outrageous to me. Like, I never thought he threw that many late in the season. It didn't feel that way at the time, but he did.
Yeah. So that ties him with the most Tom Brady's ever thrown, right? Wasn't he at 12 interceptions?
I think, or 14. I think it was 14.
We do this every time.
I know. But, this is regular season, doesn't include the playoffs. So he had 3 just in the Green Bay game.
Yeah. Now, I did think that Tom Brady was going to beat his record of interceptions. Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to throw more interceptions this year than he ever has, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah. So there was that. Jameis had 71 yard long. That was his longest pass in 2019. Tom Brady's was 50. So it's a 21 yard difference there.
Right. And we don't know, is that air yards? I think we talked about this.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, we're not sure if that's air yards or if it's runs after the catch, yards after the catch.
Okay, so the deep ball statistic, I've been grumbling to Ralph about this all week because I hate stat heads and not the website, just people who love stats in particular and gather the stats because they make it impossible to find anything. And so I was trying to find deep ball statistics so I could compare Jameis's to Tom Brady's and see where they were. And you cannot find that statistic anywhere unless you want to pay Chris Collinsworth and Pro Football Focus like $30, and I'm not doing that. So I did find in 2019 the Buccaneers team as a whole had 75 20-plus yard plays, and I think that's passing. So we had 75. So this might not be when it could have been someone else besides Jameis throwing the ball. I don't know.
Or runs.
No, I think it was just passes.
You think?
I think. Exactly. This is why statistics are so infuriating sometimes. But in 2020, Tom Brady had 67. So Jameis
about the
did.
Same.
Yeah, I mean. Well, and Tom Brady had less attempts by 16. So there's that. Early in the season, remember all those memes about Tom Brady regretting his decision and, There was still the argument that maybe it was Bill Belichick and not Tom Brady. So I did like it this season. That was one of the things I will always remember about the season was everybody, harping on Tom Brady at the beginning of the season and making it seem like he had made a mistake coming to the Buccaneers. And then we go and win the Super Bowl, so in your face. You're all wrong.
And the team, it seemed like all the players kept the receipts for that. They
did.
They were definitely rubbing it in people's faces afterwards.
And Tom did. Tom's social media team made that video. And it was like media members too. So I'm curious if the rest of the team took this from Tom's playbook or if Tom took it from the rest of the team's playbook. Because
I think he's been doing this for a while.
Probably.
Right?
And, that might have been one of the pieces of advice of sage wisdom that he bestowed upon these young guys in the locker room. Just remember all your haters. And then when you're on top, you can laugh at them and rub it in their faces.
Yeah. Best revenge is a well-lived life. Success is always the best revenge. How about that?
I love it.
Yeah.
So that's all I have, Ralph.
That's about it.
You got anything to contribute?
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of news, but we're already at an hour.
Well, let's go through the news because we skipped it last time. And I still have news from last time.
Okay, well, real quick, let's see. The Panthers quarterback Teddy Bridgewater unfollowed his team, the Carolina Panthers, on social media.
What?
Yeah, so he might be gone.
Why would he? Didn't he just sign like a 5-year deal? Gosh.
I don't know. You're the one that did the Know Your Enemy.
Well, we'll do that later.
That's funny. Joe Buck is pissed at the media he did an interview on a podcast where he talked about he has a beer in the booth with him. Mm-hmm. And in the podcast, he was talking about how it reminds him not to take the stuff so serious, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, the media basically blew that up and he's drinking in the booth.
Oh, shut up. Go talk to Terry Bradshaw, you squares. Get out of here.
Or Joe Namath.
Right. Come on.
It's one of my favorite football sideline clips of Joe Namath drunk as a skunk hitting on, I don't know, one of the sideline reporters. But yeah, I like it when the media fights each other.
I think Joe Buck is a mouth breather, same as anybody else. But seriously, people, can we not fight? Can you harp on him for his shitty opinions instead of, the dude has a beer watching a football game? Good grief.
Haven't heard anything more about Vincent Jackson's passing away, causes, or anything of that nature, but we'll keep you updated on that when we find out more information. I'm not even sure. I haven't heard anything about a service or nothing. So, yeah. I don't know.
Maybe it was just between family.
They sent his brain to Boston University, which if you listen to our CTE podcast, it's exactly the worst place you want to send for any unbiased science. Jordan Whitehead, he underwent surgery on the 19th. Came out fine on that. I think it was his knee. Was it his knee or shoulder?
No, the shoulder.
That's right, shoulder. It was JPP had surgery on his knee yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's fine from that.
Tom Brady was having work on his knee done. BA said he'd probably be ready to go around June. If that early, which probably that early with him. And Rojo had the pins removed from his finger. So all the guys are getting all their work done. Yes. That they put off. And JPP with his knee said that he's been playing at 70% all season. And so he's getting the knee done, so he'll be 100%. Which I would love to see him at 100% if this is him playing at 70.
Right, I know. I was like, wow, that's a lot of percentage to bump up there. Rick Stroud wrote an article. He tweeted out. No, he wrote it in an article. He said, a year ago at this time, did anybody really believe Brady would leave the Patriots after 20 seasons for the Bucs? Did anyone predict he would pass for 4,633 yards, 40 touchdowns with 12 interceptions in his first year in Arians' no-risk-it, no-biscuit offense?
Yes.
Yes, I did. There's the simple answer to that.
I guess the first part of that, did we predict that he would leave New England for the Bucs? No. But the other part, yes. Yes, we did. Rick, you should listen to our podcast. You might learn something. Drew Brees renegotiated his contract to drop his base salary in 2021 to the minimum. So this allows them to carry him on the roster past June 1st and reduce his cap hit, presuming he retires.
So, wait, was he going to be dead money to them?
Yeah, I think so.
So
yeah.
it's still, that doesn't really give us any indication one way or the other whether he's going to stay or
it does
retire.
not. No.
Okay.
This one's a little bit old, but there wasn't an update last time I looked. The Saints are facing more discipline as the NFL discovered more COVID protocol violations, including surveillance video of an interaction that could have contributed to Alvin Kamara's positive test in December.
What?
So they were
You just can't help but cheat, can they?
They were previously fined $250,000, and Sean Payton was fined $100,000 for not wearing face coverings in week 2, and then they were also fined week 9. The team was for $500,000 for their locker room celebration after they beat the Bucs. So now they're facing more discipline for Alvin Kamara's shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Dion Sanders, this doesn't have anything to do with the Bucs. I just found it very interesting. Dion Sanders, he's coaching a high school football team now. I think it's high school.
Is it college? I thought it was college. Yeah,
I think it's high school.
Okay.
Anyhow, on their first game, he came back to the locker room and his belongings were stolen. And he was pissed. He says, "How do you think it feels coming back teary-eyed? The guy just presented me with the game ball, one of the best moments that I've ever had in my career. And you notice," this is hilarious, "and you notice that, your stuff's been stolen." Then he goes on. He said his wallet was stolen as well as his cell phone. This was in a post-game news press conference. He said, "We're going to find out who did it," as he slams his hand down on the table.
Wait, okay. How many high schools have post-game news press conferences? Are you sure it's a high school? That says college to me.
Yeah. He says, you have this best moment in your career, getting the game ball from your students, and you notice you don't have a phone to call your mama, your girl, your kids because it's been stolen. So, he was pissed. Update a couple hours later, all of Dion Sanders' stuff has been found in his office. Nothing stolen. Did
he just forget where he put it?
He forgot where he put it. So it became a national story. And I've done that a million times, like with car keys or whatever. You like get mad that you're like, put them right here. And then they're in your jacket pocket or something.
Or did somebody really take them and then just quietly snuck them back in his office?
No, he left them.
Are you sure?
Why would somebody steal his stuff?
Who knows?
Who's going to steal the coach's stuff? Maybe as a prank, but
maybe.
I don't know, man. If you're going to do it as a prank, you don't just sneak it back in the office.
The Saints also released Nick Easton, their center, to clear up some cap space. It cleared $5.875 million in cap and $6.5 million in cash off the books in 2021. So there's that. And then the Panthers released defensive tackle Kawan Short. So
he was the only leftover.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, their whole defensive front was rookies, right? Besides him.
Mm-hmm. And
now they've gotten rid of him. So see you later. Have fun with that rebuild, guys.
Yeah. Hope it lasts a long, long time. 20-some years. Antoine Winfield Jr. got an awesome tattoo. If you go to his Instagram account, it's the Super Bowl trophy with the Buccaneers logo on it. And it looks like some Jesus hands praying. And then it says LV at the bottom. It's really cool. Reminds me of when Quan Alexander got the huge Buccaneers logo on his back. But, this is a little bit different because,
Yeah.
It's the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah.
But it's cool. He's got the Buccaneers logo on the trophy itself. So that's pretty cool.
Speaking of Antoine, he got fined by the NFL for the peace sign that he did to Tyreek Hill, which was just annoying. Somebody pointed out, how many times did Tyreek Hill get fined for doing it during the season?
Twice.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Not this season, 2018.
No, okay. Well, this season, how many times did Tyreek Hill get fined for taunting?
Yeah, he's been fined in the 6 figures? Not 6 figures. 5 figures. So,
okay.
So it's like $7,000 for the first fine and then $14,000 for a second or something like this. So
okay.
He's been fined at least twice that I know of.
Fair enough. But so there was a GoFundMe started, which you and I had actually talked about to pay this fine.
Did they do it?
Yeah, somebody did.
Oh, no.
But Antoine paid the fine and then he donated the same amount to support the Buccaneers youth leadership program at Tampa's Young Middle School. And then the Bucs Foundation is providing $15,000 to the school. And so Antoine asked that any fans who wanted to contribute to his fine payment just send the money to that school.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he turned it into a good thing, which I thought was awesome.
There's a weird story about Andy Reid's face shield and hat are in the Football Hall of Fame now.
Ew.
And I don't really know why. They don't really explain why.
He lost.
I know.
Why didn't they take BAs? Take a winning coach. How about that?
It's because, from what I can understand, it happened that the Chiefs beat the Panthers 33-31 November 8th. But the mask and stuff just got there. It was the 230th of Reid's career, which puts him in 5th place in NFL history or something. I'm just like...
As a head coach?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's impressive. But you know what else is impressive? Tom Brady. You hear about Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and all those with their career win stats and all that. And they're all like kind of close together and stuff. No, they're not. Tom Brady.
It's not close.
No, if you include postseason. Tom Brady has 264 career wins by a starting quarterback. Second most is Peyton Manning at 200. It's not even close. 264 to 200. Drew Brees has 181. Yeah, when you throw in postseason, Drew Brees or Peyton.
Who's our quarterback? Ralph, say his name. Say his name.
Tom Brady just blows them all out of the water. I mean, 260. Andy Reid's got 253 wins as a head coach, and he's been coaching since, the 80s?
Oh, my God. This was big news a couple weeks ago, but I just want to say the Bucs are not getting, nor should they, get J.J. Watt after he was released from the Texans.
Yeah, he's looking for like $15 million.
Stop.
Yeah,
stop, everyone. Stop it.
Uh-uh.
We don't need...
He's too injury prone.
Yeah, exactly.
He's great when he's in, but...
We got guys that show up even through injury, so...
Right. Well, Ndamukong Suh has never missed a game in his whole career due to injury. That's incredible.
How is that even possible?
I
just don't... That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not like he's out there playing on a pillow. He's out there taking on double teams and fighting with guys. Come on.
Come on.
The Super Bowl films, or a Super Bowl film is coming out March 23rd, depicting the Buccaneers as the winners. So it's going to be a DVD. I don't know if you can download it, but we'll find out on the 23rd.
We should buy it, but we don't even have a DVD player.
I know. My first thought was, where can I download this? Buy a DVD.
I know, but it'd be nice for your box.
My box.
Your Buccaneers box. Actually, it's 3 boxes, guys. We're going to go through it one day. We're going to do a video on it.
Yeah, because I'm putting it all out eventually. We've only been here for, 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look at all the stuff we got out already is just stuff that we have out usually. Not all my memorabilia. Yeah. Okay. That's about it. The Ndamukong Suh was told
more.
that he did an interview with and talked about Aaron Rodgers wanted to talk to him after the game against the Packers. And Ndamukong Suh said, look, it's my job to piss Aaron Rodgers off, physically and mentally. That's what I've done my whole career. And so apparently Aaron Rodgers wanted to talk to him after the game. And Ndamukong Suh was like, would he expect me to go to his locker room and talk to him? He was like, everybody knows what I do after the game. I immediately get on the bike and I do my bicycling for recovery. And then I go and I take a ice tub. If Aaron Rodgers wanted to come talk to me, he should have done it, basically. He was like, we'll talk one day, I'm sure. But it was funny. He was like, I don't know what he would expect me to do. Go to his locker room and talk to him?
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's funny, though, that he was like, yeah. I want to get in his head. Just saving it up for next year when we might see him again.
Yeah.
Get him all frazzled.
Frazzle-dazzle.
We promoted coaching intern Thaddeus Lewis to offensive assistant to replace Antoine Randall L.
I have no idea. I mean, we have so many coaches.
I know.
Isn't
Thaddeus Lewis a former player?
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And apparently he's
so
close.
So was Randall L.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but apparently he's close to Antonio Brown. So people saw that as a sign that Antonio Brown's coming back.
Interesting.
Let me see. Okay. And we lost Greg Joseph, our kicker on the practice squad. We lost him to the Vikings.
Who?
Greg Joseph, our kicker. Our backup kicker.
Oh, okay.
Practice squad kicker.
Okay.
We lost him. He's gone. Went to the Vikings. And then we signed 11 players to futures contracts. They were everybody on our practice squad through the Super Bowl, with the exception of Nick Leverett. We signed to a futures contract, but he was not on the Super Bowl roster because we had released him to when we signed Earl Watford. So the futures contracts are signed in January and February, but take effect once the new league year begins in March. So I just want to go over real quick the schedule that the schedule we've got coming up, the key dates, which are right around the corner. The franchise tag transition player designation period began on February 23rd, 2 days ago. And the deadline for that is February 17th, I think. Hold on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yes. No, March 9th. I'm sorry, March 9th. So we will find out definitively in the next couple weeks who's getting tagged, if anybody is. March 1st is the deadline for college players to declare for the draft, so that one's coming up. March 15th to 17th is the illegal tampering period. And then March 17th begins the new league year, and at 4 o'clock free agency begins. So in the next couple weeks, we are going to have one more of these year in reviews where we talk about the defense and special teams. That'll be up this weekend or early next week. And then we are going to start talking about free agency, who we sign, who we let go, and we'll do the Know Your Enemy for our division opponents. So we got some good content coming up for you in the next few weeks.
All right, there you go. Getting you prepared. I got a few more news things, but we've gone way over, so
okay.
I'll just save it for the next time.
Alrighty.
All right, guys. Well, hopefully we're going to keep back on track, get a good schedule going here. I'm trying to talk Molly into doing the podcast a little bit more often, but she's
daily. He wants to do it daily.
Yes, I want to do it daily. And she's just like, I don't know if I can.
It's a lot of work, guys. It doesn't seem like we put a lot of preparation into it. But I promise we do. It takes a long time. So, well,
here's what we'll do. You let us know. Would you prefer to have a daily podcast? Let's say Monday through Friday. An hour every day, 45 minutes.
An hour?
Yeah, 45 minutes.
I cannot do that.
Yeah, you can. You run your mouth an hour a day about the Bucs. So let's just record it. That's what we started this podcast for now, because we talk about the Bucs so much. Anyhow, if you would like that, let us know. If you think it's too much, if you're on Molly's side, let us know.
So we know who to block. Just kidding.
All right, guys. Let's keep up this good Buccaneers high. Man, we won the Super Bowl. We're going to win another one next year. Put your money on it. Until next time.
Go Bucs.